Kevin Durant joining the Houston Rockets was one of the headline moves of the NBA offseason. And sure, this offseason wasn't packed with blockbuster deals, but this one? This was massive. It was the kind of move that made the rest of the league stop for a second and ask, wait, are the Rockets actually going all in right now? Houston's young core already had the speed, the defense, and the energy to bother playoff teams. But now? They've added a proven championship scorer, one of the greatest offensive weapons the game has ever seen. This was supposed to be the next big step toward contention. But here's the twist, the Rockets' big move for Durant didn't come with the big contract extension that everyone assumed was coming. That's right. Durant's in Houston, but the long-term deal to keep him there? Still unsigned. And the latest reports? They say the two sides aren't even close to an agreement. The extension that never came. Right now, Durant is eligible to sign a 2-year, $122 million max extension. That would keep him in Houston through 2028, give him security into his late 30s, and keep him far away from the chaos of 2026 free agency. Sounds like an obvious move, right? The Rockets gave up real assets to get him. Not a massive haul compared to the trades for Durant in years past, but still, enough that losing him after one season would be a nightmare. And yet, Houston hasn't offered him that deal. Even crazier? Word is Durant isn't even demanding the full maximum. But somehow, there's still a big gap between the two sides. And that's where things start to get really interesting. Why Houston negotiates differently? To understand what's happening here, you have to understand one thing. The Houston Rockets do not negotiate like most NBA teams. For years, the NBA has been a player-driven league. Players had all the leverage. Stars and even solid role players could use free agency as a weapon, threatening to walk unless they got massive contracts. Teams caved quickly. Rookie extensions? Almost always full max deals. Free agency signings? Overpays were the norm. But in the last few years, something shifted. Money in free agency has dried up for most players. Teams have become way more cautious. And nobody has taken advantage of this new leverage more than Houston. The Rockets' money-saving blueprint. Let's rewind to last offseason. The Rockets locked up two of their young core pieces, Jaylen Green and Alperen Sengun, but didn't give them full max rookie extensions. Green signed a shorter deal so he could hit free agency sooner. Sengun signed for good money, but again, less than the maximum. This offseason, Jabari Smith Jr. followed the same path. Solid extension? Yes. Max deal? No. And these weren't isolated cases. Even veterans haven't been immune. This summer, Houston declined Fred VanVleet's expensive team option and re-signed him to a much cheaper deal, and they weren't worried about losing him because they knew the market wasn't strong enough to give him more. This is the Rockets' MO now, use leverage, save cap space, and keep flexibility for future moves. And they're unapologetic about it. Why this matters for Durant? Now apply that strategy to Kevin Durant. Houston loves what KD can do for them, his scoring, his championship pedigree, his fit alongside a young core. But they also know the other side of the story. Durant's entering his late 30s. He's had injuries. His reputation took some hits after the Suns era. And this might be his last chance to cash in on a major contract. So the Rockets are thinking, why give him the max just because we traded for him? Why not negotiate hard now and see if we can save $10, $15, maybe even $20 million over the next couple of seasons? Because here's the truth, the security Houston can offer right now, even if it's not the full max, might be better than the risk Durant takes by testing free agency in 2026. The bigger picture. And there's another layer here, Houston's future spending. They've already extended Sengun and Smith Jr. They might be giving Amen Thompson a max rookie extension soon. If Durant's deal is added at full value, that's 3 huge contracts plus Fred VanVleet's mid-sized deal, all on the same cap sheet. In today's NBA, with the league's new rules to limit big spenders, that's a dangerous place to be. One wrong contract, one injury, and your flexibility disappears overnight. By negotiating Durant's number down, the Rockets keep the door open for more moves. Big moves. Maybe even adding another star in the next year or two. Smart, but risky. On paper, Houston's approach is smart. The less you overpay, the more talent you can stack around your stars. But here's the risk, what if Durant doesn't like it? What if this turns into another unhappy superstar situation? Because let's be real, KD's history is complicated. In Golden State, his final season got weird. In Brooklyn, he requested a trade mid-season. In Phoenix, things fell apart, not all his fault, but still another messy exit. Do the Rockets really want to start this season, their most anticipated in years, with a potential contract dispute hanging over the locker room? A potentially explosive season. Right now, Houston's ceiling is high. With KD in the mix, a trip to the Western Conference Finals isn't out of the question. Their young core has the length, speed, and defensive instincts to cause chaos. Durant gives them a late-game scoring option who can kill any defense with one dribble and one pull-up. But all of that depends on chemistry. It depends on buy-in. And if KD feels disrespected by the offer, that could shift the energy fast. This is a young team. They've never dealt with this kind of drama before. And an unhappy superstar, especially one with Durant's history, can change a locker room atmosphere overnight. Why I still think a deal gets done. Despite all the tension, I still think Houston and Durant eventually find middle ground. The Rockets traded for him because they believe he can be the missing piece. And for KD, this roster is one of the best situations he could ask for. Young legs to carry the defensive load, multiple creators to keep him from burning out, and a front office that's clearly building to win now. If they are both serious about contending, they'll meet somewhere in the middle. The timeline of chaos. Here's where it gets really intriguing, the timeline. If there's no deal by the start of the season, things could get awkward. If the Rockets start slow, does the noise get louder? If Durant plays amazing but still doesn't have a deal, does that push him toward free agency? Flip it the other way, what if Houston starts hot? What if they're the 2 seed at the All-Star break? At that point, the Rockets might be even less willing to pay full price, thinking KD will stay for the shot at another ring. Both paths lead to uncertainty. The best-case scenario. The dream scenario for Houston is simple. Durant signs for slightly less than the max. The young core keeps developing. The Rockets stay healthy. And they make a deep playoff run this year. That keeps the window open for years and leaves them with the flexibility to add another big piece without gutting the roster. The nightmare scenario. But the nightmare? That's Durant playing at an MVP level, and walking away in free agency because he felt underpaid or undervalued. In that case, Houston loses a superstar, loses the assets they spent to get him, and risks stalling their timeline entirely. Final thoughts. Kevin Durant's arrival in Houston was supposed to be the perfect marriage of young talent and veteran dominance. And maybe it still will be. But the fact that they're this far apart on an extension before a single regular season game has been played? That's a storyline to watch. The Rockets are playing the long game, trying to protect their future while still competing in the present. Durant is playing for what might be his last big payday. 2 smart sides. 2 very different priorities. And in the middle? One of the most intriguing, risky, and potentially explosive partnerships in the NBA this season.